Thanks everyone for joining me for another episode on the Travel Collective, where I talk to travelers, travel providers, destinations, and people like Marcus, who has photography and a unique take on photography. So, welcome, Marcus.
Thank you. Thank you very much, April. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So, first off, because I'm a photographer too, what initially drew you into photography?
That's an interesting question because it's a huge story beyond that. Back in 1985, when I graduated from high school, I was in a serious car accident. And after this accident, I came through. It was a long story. The accident's a long story. But anyhow, when I came through, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. My career of going into the Coast Guard and going to college as an architect was a desire, but it was not anymore. And so I ended up taking an aptitude test and found out that my capabilities are more interested in the public communications, the art kind of scenarios. And it just so happened that after um, a while, a lady that worked for my dad in the ministry called me up and asked me to do photos at her wedding reception. And I says, Andrew, I'd love to do this, but because she actually stated, I heard about your photography expertise, and I
Oh.
didn't even own a camera at the time, and it was rather interesting that she would say that. But I said I'd love to do it, and I actually called my brother-in-law, and he had a camera, and I asked him if I could borrow it. And he says sure, and I said set it up for me too, because I had no idea what I was doing. But
Yeah.
so he did, and long story short, I did the photos. They were just impressed with what I did out of the other guys that she hired or had to do the photos for, and so I looked into taking a class, and I took two classes of photography, and the rest is history. I'm more or less of a self-taught photographer through the experience. I look at myself as an individual that's always learning, and I'm always grasping for what's going to work better next.
Yeah. And you live in a beautiful part of the country. You're up in Oregon,
I
correct?
am in Oregon, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area. In fact, the house I'm at right now. I got a view of the eastern mountains of Mount Jefferson and Mount Hood, and I can see the sunrise. And I've actually posted a few photos of the sunrise recently, and I've gotten a lot of compliments on them.
Oh, I bet. I mean, what an amazing area to explore. So then you tie in a little bit of interest in travel. Where did your love for travel kind of evolve from?
That was interesting because when I started, uh, I at one point I took my wife to a bed and breakfast and for our anniversaries. And one place we went to, my wife had chose which one she wanted to go to, and I says, "Really?" I says, "Did you look at the photos?" And she says, "Yes, but we're going there." And it just didn't have an appeal to me at all. So we got to this place in Sisters, Oregon, and it was absolutely astonishing. It was a log cabin, had four suites in each corner upstairs, and each room had a log bed frame, a pine wood or oak
Yeah.
wood or cedar. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing. And they all had a fireplace. And then the bathrooms had these large soaking tubs. They were jacuzzi tubs, and they had this shower separate that was a rain head. And it was, I
Oh,
mean, the way it was set up with the wood, the decor, it was just absolutely gorgeous. Well, what really kicked it in the pants for me was they have a nightlight and by the front door of every room. And these nightlights are not just your normal nightlights. It's actually a little mouse hole that is on the floor. And you look inside, and there's a bed in each one of them. There's a little nightstand. I mean, it's just the way they addressed everything in detail was just fascinating. And so I asked the innkeeper if I could help her do some photos, and she says anything's better than what I've done. And I said, well, okay. And so I did some photos for her, and she loved them, and she thanked me left and right. And that was before I really got into the hospitality industry. And then we went to another bed and breakfast over on the coast in Sand Lake, and the innkeeper there said, "I need help with interior photos." And I says, well, that's what I've been specializing in because I've been doing photos of architecture here in Salem and for different builders and contractors and developing the architectural view. Well, then the hospitality aspect of interior photos started blending, and this lady said I needed to go to a conference in Oregon. And in
Hmm.
2008, I went to a bed and breakfast conference, and I walked away with about 5 or 6 jobs in Oregon.
Wow.
And I thought, well, this is rather fascinating. And so it just started developing through that. And then I went to a conference in Portland, and it was a regional conference. And I says, you mean there's other bed and breakfasts in this world? Interesting. Well, I thought, well, this would be kind of fun. I'm gonna call a place somewhere where I just have a fancy to go and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, I ended up calling the Avalon Hotel on Catalina Island
Oh,
and
nice.
talked with the owner, Kathleen, and she says, "Yeah, we need photos, but it won't be for another year." So I thought she was just kind of pushing me off. I called her back in a year,
Yeah.
and she says, "Yep, we do need photos, and we're trying to decide if we want you to do the photos or this other company." And I go, "Oh dear, the other company's got it. I'm too
Yeah.
fresh." 1 week later, or less than that, she called me back up and she says, "We decided we want you to do our photos." And I about fell to the floor. I just didn't, I
Yes.
thought I had died and gone to heaven. So I was so new and so nervous. I had to ask her. I says, "Okay, how long do you want me to come down there for? How much should I charge you?" And I was
Yeah.
literally just digging to find out what to do. And she went through it and said all of it, and it worked out more than I anticipated, and it just started going from there. I've been developing. I started joining larger corporations and different associations, and nationwide, and would visit different locations, and my name started getting out, and it's starting to span into a way that I was loving it. I love traveling, and I love helping people out.
Yeah, it's a nice grouping of, being able to combine your skills with visiting these destinations and really, as a traveler and a person that stays in places like this, knowing kind of what we as travelers are
Sure.
looking for when we're on the internet. I mean, that's just it.
Yeah,
The photos oftentimes are what make the decision for us of, oh
I
wow, I
agree.
can I can see myself sitting there with a coffee and my love of my life looking at this view. But if you don't have that picture, you're kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to take a chance on that one.
That's so true. I really agree with that. And a lot of people do pull that concept out of, what is it about that image or about this place that's pulling me in? What
Yeah.
is there? Is there something? I was just this last month in December, I was in Oxford, Michigan. And I was doing photos at a bed and breakfast there. It was actually, 10, 11 inches of snow on the ground. So it was a little bit different for me because we don't get a whole lot of snow in the valley here. But it was quite fun. But when I was talking to the owners that hired me, I asked them how did they hear about me. Went through that whole spiel. And there was another company that I worked with or I know personally, and they're a worldwide company, and they are the ones that told this bed and breakfast
Wow.
about me. Well, they you know in a kind way, they gave out several names because it's only logical that they give out more names, and it's very kind. And then that innkeeper then has that opportunity to make their decision of what they want to do. Well, it was it was really fun to talk to him because he says, I've got 3 people I'm working with to get a bid from, and I thank you for giving us a bid. You're one of the first people that gave us the actual bid.
Hmm.
And he says, in actuality, he says, looking at the type of imagery you do, I really hope we go with you. And I said, well, thank you for that. I really, made me feel good.
Yeah.
And then once I did get the job, he also mentioned to me, and he wanted to keep it between us, that the company that gave him the name of the first place, they actually stated, "We hope you get Marcus." because
Oh,
Marcus is the kind of photographer that likes to create an image where it allows the viewers to say, I can see myself there because of the essence of setting it up in an experiential kind of way. And
yeah.
that's what I try to grow for.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you decide on the name of your business, Unique Angles?
That's hilarious. Back to taking these two classes that I did at community college. My instructor at the time, I'd like to run into him if I knew where he was, but I gave him my portfolio at the end of the class, and he wrote me a letter, and I still have that letter somewhere here. I'm sure I do. But he indicated in that letter, he says, Marcus, he says, you have such a creative way of viewing things, and your style is very unique. And I like that in a photographer. He says we're going to make you a photographer sooner than you know it because the angles that you choose are rather fun and creative. And so what I did is I just went through the list and then pulled out those two words, unique
Yeah.
angles. And I don't know why or how or why, but I'd struggled with it for years, going, why didn't I just name my photography business Marcus Berg Photography? I mean,
Yeah.
it's short M Berg Photography instead of unique angles. And it says, because I'm signing things with my whole business name, I'm going, oh, this is ridiculous. Why did I do this? But you know what? The more I learned through business, when you have a name as a photographer, you are seen as an individual. Where if you have a business larger name, not a personal name, it's more of a corporation kind of a atmosphere in a name. So
Yeah.
it kind of gives it more of a business kind of a reflection. So I'm and it just fits with what I do, and I like it.
Yeah, I think I do too. I think it does. And it does for people that don't know you, they're not, to them, they're kind of making a decision based on your images. They don't, they don't know between April, Adam, or Marcus, maybe which one, unless you're
Yeah.
like, unless you end up being Ansel Adams or something. But, otherwise it's like, unique angles really says something. It kind of gives them an idea that you're going to do something
It's got a
personalized.
purpose to it. Yeah,
Right,
it's got a
right.
drive. I
Yeah.
agree with that. I do. I do. It's kind of cool.
So, what have been some challenging situations when you're doing this type of photography?
Run that by me again.
Oh, have there been challenges trying to do this type of photography for a location you've agreed to?
There's challenges. One of the biggest challenges is we have cell phones these days. Cell phones are fairly highly capable of doing quite a few things. The technology that Apple has come across with their availability with HDR, high dynamic range, and philosophy of grasping in, and now we have AI that is pulling in with the whole dynamics. It's really making it more challenging. But the scenario I have, the challenge I have is since everybody has a cell phone, they'll just, I'll just go and use my cell phone. Okay, perfectly fine. The challenge of that for these individuals are with a cell phone, you have limited access to correct your angles.
Oh, yeah.
You have very limited access to control the lighting, the direction. You also have a challenge that people don't understand are leading lines.
Hmm.
When you take a photograph, there's a certain caption in that image. You want to fill the frame, but you don't want to fill the frame. And you want to bring that frame into some area angle so it's not a blockage or there's, some things that are disrupting. Plus, there are other challenges with cell phones, and that is you're not able to really eliminate the cord from that nightstand lamp or that ceiling vent that you have that's, you can't take that out. Some you can, but it's, other areas. But, the other concept is the lighting, which is huge,
Oh yeah.
because when you get a washed out window, people are going, okay, what's outside that window? Why can't I see out that window? What's out that window? That's, you know, why would I want to choose that room? Because there's two ways of looking at that. Some people may not really care if they're going to a Marriott or a Hyatt or, wherever. But when they go to a bed and breakfast or a boutique hotel, there's a little more essence of why they're going to that hotel. They're in a location where they want to see. If they're by the ocean, or if they're by the mountain, or if they're by a river, or if they're by a tree, or if they're by a field, or by a farm, that barn, whatever it is, there's something out there that they want to grasp out the window. So I fully believe, and this was something I did started years ago, and um, I'm sure I'm not the only one that started it, but a lot of people are doing it now, capturing the interior light to match the exterior light. So you're seeing both in and out at the same lighting. And that really makes a difference.
Yeah, that really does. Because you're right. It is that view out the window, especially if in the verbiage, which some people are going to, go into detail. Like, why am I spending? I know right before we got on the call, you mentioned, there's a $75 room and then there's a 200 plus 250 plus room at the same property. Like, what makes these two rooms different? Is the view
Yeah,
different? Yeah. What am I getting?
yeah. I remember a friend of mine is a really good friends of mine, Jean and Karen. They have some beach rentals over in Lincoln City, and I do photos for them. And she's got a place she online, and her website says incredible panoramic view of the ocean, sitting in the living room just watching the ocean. And you look at her photos, and every single one of them was looking back into the room and not to the ocean. And I says, Karen, I said, we need to change that. So capturing behind the couch instead of looking
Yeah.
at the couch with the view, because it's you the experience is the ocean. That's
Right.
what you're going to this camping for. You're
Right.
there because you want to see the ocean. So what the couch looks like, if it's got 20 holes in it, yeah, it's gonna matter. But they're more concerned about the view,
Right.
because that's what they go into the coast. They want to see the view. So capturing the sofa and the view in the foreground or background, it's just um, astonishing. It's fun. But I like to create things that add to the photos. Like I'll turn the water on the sink at certain times, like in the kitchen. The shot of the coast, I just came to my mind. They have the kitchen, the dining room, and then the ocean's right outside the kitchen window and
Oh.
outside the dining room sliding glass door. And I turn the water on the faucet in the kitchen, and so there's some aqua blue water running, from some ornaments or dishes, whatever, and around the sink, and nicely put. And with this view, with this gorgeous blue
Yeah.
sky, and because it was a beautiful summer day, and it really turned out well. But and then there's I was looking at another place. I think I told you one of the places I was looking at just before we got onto the call here. It had a room with this cool, I want to say a bear claw tub, but it's more up to date without the bear claws. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's just a tub that's sitting by itself, and it's
Um,
fascinating. They have
wow.
like 25 pictures of this tub, and I'm not sure why so many, but each photo, the tub is empty. There's no towels. There's no book on the side. There's no soap. There's no. It's just it's a real estate image, and it's
Right.
like you're a bed and breakfast, and it's like grasp what you have and create something out of it instead of taking 25 pictures of the same thing.
Yes.
Take one or two with intimacy of what is the experience.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so true. And like you said, it can be pretty simple, some bubble
Yeah.
bath or candles or, so
Yep. just getting the water running while you're filling the tub. Put some soap in there that bubbles are starting to come up, or lay a towel, roll a towel up and put on the side, or have a book with a pair of reading glasses on it, or
Yeah.
something to really. Or you can get one of those bathtub trays.
Yes, I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done quite a few of those as well, with different books or a glass of wine or candles or something else on it to kind of give it a little essence of creativeness.
Right, right. So what have been some of your favorite destinations to in your
Oh my
line of
gosh,
work?
that sorry, that's a loaded question, and because when I look at going to these bed and breakfasts, it's not necessarily the destination; it's the innkeepers that are at these locations, and
Okay.
it really. I've been to a few where the innkeepers, I was kind of like, really, what got you into hospitality? And it's just kind of questionable. But then there's places I've been, like there's one place on Catalina Island, the Avalon Hotel. It's yeah, it is. It's one of my favorites because that was my first place out of the state of Oregon, and
Yeah.
it's so fascinating. But I've got places I enjoy visiting over in Hawaii. I got places in Florida that I enjoy. Texas. I got several friends in Texas. Because that's the other thing of this whole thing. Not only do they become clients, but they are become family, and it's like you know Rock and Kathleen on Catalina Island are like my brother and sister now. It's like, coming
Oh,
over for a visit. Okay, cool. And so it's kind of fun. But there's a lot of places in Washington State I've done photos for, and it's just they become family, and they even become family before I even do the photos. There's one of my clients in North or New Hampshire, Maria. I met her at a conference over in Myrtle Beach umpteen years ago, and we were trying to. Since the distance was so far from Oregon, she has like 5 rooms. Yeah, so it wasn't for her to justify to fly me out there alone.
oh,
It was just so we were trying to get somebody else, and it was really challenging that far for me. But we finally did it a little over a year ago, and I went out there and did some photos for her. But before I did the photos, I mean, she wrote me a recommendation. She was we really bonded in that business kind of concept of really building a friendship, and it turned out great. We had a wonderful time. We did get some great photos, and her place looks amazing.
oh, nice.
Yeah,
I
and
might have
found
to
out.
ask where that one is, just because
Well,
I go to New England so
oh,
often.
do you really? It's in
Yeah.
Harrisville, New
Oh, I
Hampshire.
love Harrisville.
In
Yeah.
Harrisville, I found out after I got there was it was the number one city in the New England area that gets photographed.
Yes, it is. It is. It's just such a beautiful little town, and there's
It
not
is.
many places to stay there. So,
No, there's not. Harrisville Inn is the place I did photos at, and it's right outside of town on the west side. But boy, that historic town was phenomenal. That
oh
lake, that
yeah.
pond, whatever, the hillside, the trees. It's just oh, so, I was there before. Was it before the fall season? Yeah, I was there right before the fall, so it wasn't. The colors were not quite grasping yet, but boy, what a beautiful place it was. So
Yeah, and all the
absolutely,
reflections. I mean, it's just a
yeah,
stunning place to photograph, most definitely.
it really is. I
Yeah.
was just last was it November, September? Yeah, September, November. I was in North Carolina at another bed and breakfast. It was a lodge, and it was out in the Blue Ridge Mountain area,
Oh,
and
nice.
it was the colors were still showing from fall, but I missed the peak time. But I got some incredible. This place was just astonishing. The lodge great room was, it had two story, 3 story height window or ceilings and open beams, these log beams, and oh, it was so amazing. It was just, and then you look out the windows and it's this hillside of the Blue Ridge Mountains. I
Oh,
mean, it's
wow.
absolutely gorgeous, just astonishing. So, but yes, there's a lot of fun that I have traveling and seeing a lot of places. but I also love what I do. It's a passion that creates these images that I just,
And there's a lot, it sounds like there's a lot of work you probably do to plan a lot of the images ahead of time too, like the going out to New Hampshire, you kind of had to know, like, are there props? Are there things I can kind of use to help?
there's yes, yes and no. It's people have an opportunity to view the type of imagery that I do, and so each client of mine, I send them a list, a suggested list for props that fit more so in their area. In other words, I'm not going to pull out the cross country skis if I'm over at a cabin at the beach. It's just that's
Right.
not going to work out. But pull out your lawn chair, your towel, your flip flops, sunglasses. Yeah, we'll get some great shots on the beach or by the pool, whatever. And then but if we're in the mountains, yeah, get those cross country skis, and get those hiking poles and the hiking
Right.
boots of picnic baskets. We'll create something that gives that essence of things to do and activities to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Most definitely. So for you as a traveler, I have a few quick questions.
You bet.
Just fun ones. Do you prefer a window seat or an aisle seat when you fly?
When I fly, I actually prefer an aisle. Um, I've heard various things. It all depends on where I'm at, but I most definitely like the aisle. Not because I've got to go to the restroom often. It's just I like that access of not being cramped in the corner.
Yeah. One lens for a full trip, or are you switching camera lenses?
What's that? Oh, a lens.
Lens for
There's
your camera, yeah.
there's actually I have a favorite lens, and that's my 24 to 70 2.8. I've got three of them
Oh, wow.
because I if anything happens to one, I've got a backup, and I always travel with minimum of two cameras, and but I also have a case that I bring with me, and it's got various lenses in it. But that one lens is my highest choice. When I do food photos, I prefer a fixed lens and with a lower app to get the less glass and more higher, sharper images. But it is. I'm not much of a landscape photographer. I do have some shots that I did, like when I was down at Cattle Lake in Texas. I got some egret taken off
Oh,
from the water and these cypress trees. It was at sunrise, and the lighting was just glowing through the trees, and this white bird was just taking off. And I'm standing in a boat that's actually moving, and
oh my gosh.
coming from the accent that I told you I was in and doing that is beyond me. I can't believe I haven't caught that photo, but so it was amazing. But yeah, there's some pretty cool places I've been that I've been able to capture some great landscape photos.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when you travel, are you coffee first or go get the pictures first?
Coffee. It's either coffee with the photos or coffee then the photos.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly.
I'm a coffee man, so I definitely need my coffee. So it was kind of funny. It was in June one time when I was doing photos at the Redfish Lake Lodge, which is in Stanley, Idaho, and great weather. So I'm packing my shorts and not thinking anything of it. I really forgot what I was doing because
Oh,
Redfish Lake Lodge is at the Sawtooth Mountains, and their elevation is over 6,500.
oh, wow.
So mornings are a bit chilly. So I have
Yes.
no idea what I
Oh,
was thinking, but I did not bring any pants with me. I had just shorts.
oh
And I
no.
was like getting up with the butt crack of dawn and going out to do some photos, and there's frost all over
Oh
the docks. And it was,
no. Yes.
oh my gosh, I'm freezing. It was kind of crazy, but oh, the fun you have when you travel.
Yeah, exactly. Do you prefer street food, like picking up casual things, or a sit-down restaurant?
I prefer sit down, and I try to find the local areas. I try to stay away from the standard, chain restaurants like the chain hotels. I like to get something local, and I depend on my innkeepers, where I'm going and stuff to give me a. And a lot of the places I go to, that is what really stands out. A lot of B&Bs that they pick out these restaurants where it's completely different than your, touring kind of spot. A lot of people just go on vacation whenever and they just go to, Wendy's or they go to, Denny's or something like that. It's like, these places are unique and they're very,
Yeah.
well set for the local kind of. And I like to do that in Hawaii because when I go to Hawaii, I like oh, now I can't think of the name, the dish that I like, but the local,
They
yeah.
have like poke, they have sushi,
Oh my God, I'm not a
they have
sushi
the
person.
Hawaiian ice things. I don't know. They
Yes,
have a lot of
there's so
things
much
there.
of them. But yeah, so it's really fun to find places like that and explore new different avenues. So it's definitely a passion that's building more and more each day.
Do you prefer to take a road trip to get to these destinations or just get there the fastest way possible, like fly if you have to?
Well, it all depends on where the gig is, but I do like driving. I mean, I used to drive with a multimedia production out of Burbank, California for a couple of years. I drove across the whole United States with this company. So driving was kind of a week, with thousands of miles on our vehicle each month. But I the fun thing about driving is you can take back roads to get there,
Yes.
and those back roads are roads that you would never travel if you were just going on vacation somewhere, and uh, it's really fun. I have a great time doing that and exploring different roads that brings me through different towns, those little towns and stuff, and you find these little niches and restaurants and stuff, and it's fun to explore them and have your own experience.
Right,
So, but
exactly.
I do love flying. I mean, I'm still trying to get onto a private jet, but I haven't gotten there yet. But I'm gonna pursue that. The last thing I do in my life, that's on my bucket list. So, but I'd love to do photos on a jet plane, but
Oh,
or
wow.
private jet,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah,
So,
but it is
but
those back roads where you really discover those little towns. I mean, like a lot
oh
of
yeah,
people don't even, unless you wander through Harrisville or have someone tell you about it. And there's many of those towns in New Hampshire, but that one's
yes,
one of my favorites that a lot of people don't know about. And
no, I agree.
it's the innkeepers, and that's why connecting with that innkeeper and emailing them or having a conversation to ask where to eat and some of the other sites in that area. I mean, they're going to be the ones to know, like, oh yeah, you go up this hill and around that bend, and that's where you'll
Sure.
get this
Yep.
view of the trees or the overlook or whatnot. Just
Absolutely.
they're a great resource.
I agree. I agree. It's fun. It's fun. But yeah, so having this passion and having this opportunity to do what I do, you know, things are changing in life. This last year, yeah, it was hard for me. It was hard on a lot of people, and I think this year is going to be another challenge. But I think what we need to do is support one another and help each other and really pull this thing back together because people are wanting to travel. People are wanting to get out. People are wanting to do things, but with what's going on, and this is kind of off the subject, but the people are getting scared to go places for obvious reasons.
Yes, agreed. And right now, I know the economy is a challenge. People are a bit concerned about their travel dollars, and that's where, finding places, maybe you can find an amazing location to stay not too far, maybe a couple, get your map out, a couple
Sure.
hours from where you live, whether that's Las Vegas or Los Angeles or Portland, Oregon, or, Seattle, whatever, there
Yep.
might be a little town and, a lot of these places that are gem locations that you're meeting, Marcus, they don't have big advertising budgets. So you're not going to just
No,
maybe instantly find them on your first search. You honestly
no,
really need to spend time on your desktop and pull out your Google Maps and look for the little dots and click on them. And sometimes
yeah.
that's how they'll pop up and then reach
And
out to them.
that's exactly how I got my meeting for tomorrow.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I actually pulled up my Google Maps and lodging areas in around Portland, Oregon, and I started, zoning in on, you know, I see the price range level, and you understand price range level is what you're going to
Yeah.
get and what you're looking at and stuff. So I was looking at and these are little red dots.
Yes.
You hover over the little red dots, and you can find out more information. And usually those red dots are those local, privately owned and operated bed and breakfast, a guest house,
Yeah.
rentals, STR, Airbnbs, those kind of stuff. And so that's what I did, and I actually, found out what this place was. Oh wow, it's a bed and breakfast, and this is kind of cool. So I looked into it. I read through their profile and their website, and viewed their images and stuff, and said, they got good images, but what if we did this to show a little more experience? And so that's what I created an email specifically for that bed and breakfast, and indicated, some highlights of what the historic part of that B&B
Oh,
was,
yeah.
so that they know that I'm paying attention to what they have and what they are creating, and then try to fill that through, and then touch on the subject of, the economy is killing everybody, but I want to help you out with either part of a trade, or a lower interest or lower charge. Some I
Yeah.
want to make this work for both of us. He's in my backyard. He's not 2 states over, and which is kind of awkward and weird, because on the East Coast your states are like side by side by side by side, where in the West Coast it's like you got 3 states and it's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
whole thing. So
Yeah.
you're not going on. I'll be in Tennessee, in about an hour, and then I'll be in North Carolina, half hour after that. It's like, no, Oregon, you're 5 hours away. It's
Yeah,
either
exactly.
direction. So it's just, but it's fun. It's fun to see if you can reach out and explore.
Right. And that's me. It's like and that's why I do these podcasts and work with travelers, because I do think there's so many amazing experiences you can have at any budget, but also support what keeps places unique. You can find the corporates, but I mean that's not going to be a unique experience. You stay at one of these a small inn or a bed and breakfast like that you work with, and you're going to
Yeah,
get like a home cooked breakfast. You're going to get a local,
exactly.
someone that lives and loves that area that's going to tell you about, the best restaurant that looks like it's in an old dilapidated building, but they make great food. You just got to go inside and,
Yeah, and
open the
it's just,
door and
the experience that, no, that opportunity. It's they're out there.
yeah, they are definitely out there. So tell people, Marcus, how they can work with you. What's your website? What's the best way to reach out if they do have a property or want to have you come photograph their business?
Well, the best and easiest way would be to be email or phone number, but the email is uniqueangles@gmail.com. But my website is the full name, uniqueanglesphotography.com. I do have sites of Facebook, on LinkedIn, and other places of I can't even think of them all. But anyhow, the phone number, to reach me out is 503-576-9427, and I definitely want to help out whoever is in need for some photography. Updating their images always helps, and you want to update images every 2-3 years. I know that's kind of soon and quick and the budget may not be suitable for all of that, but you want to be able to express what is new and what's updated. If you change decor or something, they're going to notice that. They're going to notice the bedspread. They're going to notice the, blankets. They're going to notice, different pillows, towels, decor, if you do any kind of remodeling or something. But you also want to be on top of things for seasons. If
Oh,
you have an availability to capture something in each season, that's going to be a benefit to you. Um, I would love to help out in that scenario. I do that with a few locations that I've done photos in different seasons because they have different types of seasons and they shows. There are places like in New Mexico or Arizona that the seasons they're pretty solid with one. But anyhow, but yeah, and I'm very flexible. I'm a my business. I run it to where I'll do payments. If an individual has a tough time, I do not charge interest because that's like double dipping, and I don't like double dipping, and I don't charge extra for a credit card payment. When we come into a price that's I'm working with QuickBooks. I think QuickBooks does something from on that, and I hate it. I don't like QuickBooks, but it happens. But business is business, and I do my best to help those that need help.
wonderful. And one last question, because today is National Plan Your Vacation Day, I realize.
Oh, really, I did not know
I
that.
didn't either, and we're
Okay.
chatting, which I love talking travel, but where is a destination you really is still on your dream bucket list?
My destination is Norway.
Oh, wow.
That is that I know that's complete international, but my mother is from Norway, and so that heritage is there, and I have relatives there, but I've never been there, so I'd love to go visit there. But
Well, that's why we need to put it out there. Norway. Contact Marcus. Unique angle
yes,
photography.
yes. There's other places I'd like to visit too. I was just talking to a friend of mine in Romania, um, but who knows? Who knows? There's all kinds of
Have you
great
been to
places.
all 50 states then yet?
I have been to quite a few of them, not all 52 states yet. I've been to Alaska, I've been to Hawaii, been to each corner of the nation, um, not the farthest corner in the New England area in Maine, but I've been to the most southern part in Key West and down in California and also in Washington State. So I've been to Maine, but I've not been to the tip corner of Maine. But I've been to the tip and all the three other ones. So that's kind of history, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some northern states I've not been to yet. And I've still yet to do photos in Alabama. I'd like to do that. Yeah. Or
Yeah, and
Virginia.
oh,
I've
Virginia
I've
too?
been
Okay.
think I've been through there, but I have not done any photos in Virginia yet. I'd like to do that. There's a lot of beautiful places there.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So if anyone needs to contact Marcus, again, it's Unique Angles Photography and your email address one more time, Marcus.
Is Unique Angles UNIQUEANGLES @gmail.com.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.